Hello everyone, this is Kelly with Kelly's Twisted Crystals, and today we will be making a copper wand. It has selenite and black tourmaline. The wire that I'll be using is a 16 gauge square wire, and then I'll also be using a half round wire, a 24 gauge half round wire. This would honestly work better with a bit of a thicker gauge for the half round, so you don't have to wrap as much, but this is the one I have, so this is the one I will be using. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna leave some room for this selenite. So let's see, I'll measure, I'm gonna do about 14 inches with the 16 gauge square wire. Okay, so I measured that off camera. All right, so that's one, and then I'm going to do 4 pieces of the 16 gauge. So that's 2. 3, 4, just using the cutting pliers here. Right, and then these guys are all kind of crazy, so I'm going to straighten each one. I have this clamp that I'll use to hold, and these straightening pliers here, and I'll go all the way across the wire, and then I'll turn, do the other side all the way across, and I'll just do that a few times. And then I like to go back once with my hand also, just get it nice and straight. And the reason why I want to do that and get them all straight is because I want all of the flat sides of the square wire to lay next to one another. Once with the hands. Okay, so off camera, I straighten the rest of the wires, and you can see now they're a lot straighter and they will lay next to each other with the flat sides, each on another flat side. So on each side, so I'm going to wrap around with the half round a length of about where each hand is pinching. So if I measure that, it's about 5.5 inches, and that's going to be the length I'm going to weave. And then on the sides, that's what I'm going to use to hold the crystals on each side. So for how I go about using my half round wire off the spool, I'll show you. I'll take it loose, and then this side is my flat side, so I want to turn it around this way to where my half round side is facing up, and I just use my legs to hold the spool so it doesn't unravel on itself. So I'll find my length and get these 4 wires nice and flat, and then I'm going to start wrapping. So we have the half round side is up, wires all together, and then with my left hand I'm holding with my right and just wrapping around just to start. Another thing a lot of people like to do is just use some painter's tape to hold the wires together first. and then you can wrap it around. The end goal is just to have the half round, the round part up and wrapping nice tight weaves. I'm pulling tension each time I go around. Okay, so I have that started, and I will use these coated pliers to tighten down the wraps. And now that I've started holding my spool with my legs, and then I'll just wrap the actual 4 wires now and hold the tension. Always good to tighten as you go. Right. And I'll just continue to flatten also, and pull more length of wire, and just keep creating these neat wraps all the way down until you get to your length. So off camera, I've got some more wrapped here, and I just wanted to show you guys a quick little thing that whenever I'm wrapping, I'll do is I'll just go around quickly, leaving looser wraps so they don't overlap on each other and bunch up. So they'll be like this, and then I'll take my needle nose pliers and tighten everything and just flatten, and then I'll keep going. And they're not neat and spaced, but then I'll push them together. And I won't go too long without pushing them together, but this just helps me to wrap them up a little faster. Kind of go down the length, pull some more wire out, tighten, press down. Okay, so here I've finished up the length of wrapping. I did a little less, it's about 5 inches long. Okay, so since this wire's thinner, I'm gonna just separate one of these outside wires and wrap it around. Now with the flat, it's a little more tricky. Just try to keep the flat side down as you wrap. And just finish it off 4 times or 5 times. Okay, and then snip off the tail. Flatten down the end. And on this side, see this I didn't secure and it's kind of floppy. So I'm just gonna unwrap it like 3 times. Pull away 1 wire. I'm gonna use these pliers to help me wrap it around here. Just because the tail's so small, it's easier to hold it with the pliers. And I'm just making sure that flat side is staying down. tighten. And I'll just finish where the length is already at. Okay, so now I'll have this side will be the top, and I will add my selenite on. So I'll leave a little bit of where the wrap is on the end of the selenite. Actually, I'll go up a little more, like almost halfway-ish. So I'm gonna be holding that together with the stone at the bottom with my right hand, or whichever hand is more comfortable for you. And then I will wrap with my left hand to secure the selenite. And I'm gonna go around the bottom with this one. And I'll hold it with my left. Just however you can hold the wire and wrap. So I'll make sure it's lined up pretty nicely there. Then I will take the furthest wire from the outside. My selenite's a little off, so I'm gonna try to wiggle it. Okay, and then come around with the outside wire, going up. And I'm just trying to hold the stone on, get it secured. So actually what I think I'm gonna do is unwrap this part, separate out these two wires here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back around. Selenite's super soft, so I am kind of scratching the sides here. But once it's all set in, we'll be good to go. So I'm just gonna wrap around here. All right, so it feels pretty secured. So now I have all these wires poking out everywhere, and I'm going to turn them into swirls. I like to finish a lot of my designs with swirls. So I think I'm gonna bend this one down a little bit and cut off the excess here. I'll use my round nose pliers to pinch the tip, the end of the wire. Then I'm gonna turn my hand, this is my right hand, I'm gonna turn it to the right, and that's gonna give me the swirl here. And just keep giving it the turn. Push down the loop. Now I have a spiral at the top. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom one. I don't need to cut this one, it's a lot smaller. So I'm going to pinch the end, and this time I'm going to pull my hand into the left side, and that's just going to give me an opposite facing swirl. Okay, so that will be the bottom and the top done. Right, and then I think I'm gonna make actually a really big swirl with this one. So I'm gonna get a curve going here. Right, and then I'm gonna snip off the extra, pinch, pliers are slipping off. Keep pinching, making the loop. And this wire is a little harder to make the swirls since it's thicker. I'm going to use my coated pliers here to hold and move the swirl in. Kind of having to lift it up off of the selenite a little bit to get it to turn. Okay. And then I'm going to push with my thumb and straighten it up. All right, so now I have a bigger swirl in the middle. And then I think I'm going to bring this one around to the back. And I want to go right underneath this swirl. And then I'm going to make another bigger swirl going in. So I'll start curving that. I like the length, I'm not going to cut it. And do the same thing. And anytime you're making a pendant, always feel free to hold the pendant however, or any kind of wire wrap, however is most comfortable. If you have to move wires out of the way so that you can create a design and then move them back, that can be helpful. So here is the last swirl. All right, so this is the selenite end. All right, it feels nice and secure. Right, and then on the other end will be the black tourmaline. So I'll do the same thing about halfway, hold it, and then I think I'll come around the top with this one. Actually going to pull this little end underneath the tourmaline there, so you can see it's on the bottom. Okay, with the next piece, let's see, I think I'll go around the same side actually. I'll just bring that one just around the top, and I'll bring it on top of the tourmaline there. This one's a little bit thicker of a stone. Right, and I think I'll go ahead and do a small swirl. I'm gonna snip just to even up the end of that one a little bit. And I will do the swirl towards the bottom actually. It's not really enough to make an entire swirl, so I'm just gonna kind of finish it underneath there. There's no pokey part sticking out or anything. And this one, I think I do have enough. I will finish with a swirl on the top. Right, so I'm actually gonna go flat around the back 2 wires. And I'm using these pliers to help me because this wire is very sturdy. Okay, and then now going to snip and spiral in. And there is, of course, plenty of different ways that you could hold the crystals onto the ends, and feel free to play around with the wires that you have. You could add weaves on there. You know, you have 4 different wires to do different weaves with. So my swirl is on top of there, kind of holding the top in now. Right, and then these last 2 wires, I'm gonna bend down. Use the pliers to push them down tightly. And then this is going to create sort of a little stand to help hold the wand. And I'm going to go once around and once around. Tighten those wraps up. And then I'm going to pull the bottom one down, push it tight, and I'm going to do the curve. Straighten up the end, and I'll do a spiral here. If this project feels difficult, you can always practice the swirls on a smaller gauge wire. Right, and then I think I want to add one more swirl with this wire here. Push it up over the tourmaline a little bit. Got the one on top holding it in. Right, so this feels really secure. And now you have a selenite and black tourmaline copper wand.